Howdy gamers, and I'm feeling pretty good about myself. I even decided to pick up a new hobby. I've started drawing now, and honestly I'm pretty good at it. Well then, that's soul crushing. I guess I'll just give up drawing and find a new hobby. Yeah, that seems like something I can do. Cuphead was a game that I'd been looking forward to playing for a while. Unlike most games where I just hear about it, wait a year or two for it to come out, then wait 5 more years until I eventually get around to playing it, then rob the local GameStop, this was a bit different. I remember first hearing about Cuphead when watching a recap of E3 back in 2015, and it was the one game that caught my eye, and is honestly the only game I even remember from that E3. And that's saying something, because I checked and there were some good and memorable games shown off that year, like Overwatch, No Man's Sky, and Barbie and Her Sister's Puppy Rescue. I mean, I could either care about Persona 5 or Barbie and Her Sister's Puppy Rescue, so I chose the more important game. Anyways, I remember really wanting to play Cuphead, but at the time it was announced to be an exclusive for Xbox and PC. I didn't know that though, and somehow thought it was a Wii U exclusive, so I bought a Wii U. Oh, don't worry, it's coming. Yeah, I don't really know why I thought that. Someone probably coughed during the presentation or something. Eventually though, Cuphead came out on PC and Xbox, and my brother actually bought it for PC, but I mean, do I look like I know what a PC is? So, because of that, I never really got to play it. I mean, I didn't have an Xbox One at the time, but I do remember my friends absolutely loving the game. Mainly Adam, who would talk about it a lot. I mean, it's his favorite game of all time, so that makes sense. And all his talk did was just get me more and more excited for the game. Eventually, I did buy an Xbox, but by then, I had sort of forgotten about Cuphead. Honestly, I was just too busy playing Fortnite and buying an ungodly amount of V-Bucks. Eventually though, in 2019, I did realize that there were more games than just Fortnite, and to prove that, I started scaring off all Amish people within a 10-mile radius, and also playing on the Switch more. And then, right on time, Cuphead was announced for the Switch, and I was so excited. Everything was finally coming full circle, and at the time, I remembered hearing something about a physical release for Cuphead, so that must be happening, right? Frick. Apparently the physical would be coming out when the DLC came out later that year. And then eventually 2020 came. We were getting news that there would be a new Smash character coming out. I mean, who could it be? We had Joker from Persona 5. I don't know any other of the characters, but this one could be cool. Never mind. I actually remember watching the live stream in the back of Spanish class, and I was somewhat disappointed. I mean, I didn't really care too much because I don't buy any of the DLC characters anyways, because I was waiting for one thing. The Mii fighter costumes. I mean, the last one was sand, so how are they gonna top that? I freaking remember just right after class tracking down Adam and telling him the news, and you better believe as soon as I went home, I bought Cuphead. At that point, I was just tired of waiting. I mean, I had waited 5 years at the time. I figured the DLC would just get delayed again, and I mean, I wasn't wrong. Plus, I'm a collector. I have multiple copies of games. I mean, I have 2 copies of Mario Party 8, 2 copies of Wii Party, only 1 copy of Game & Wario though, and yes, I do have trouble sleeping at night knowing that. Really though, to me it doesn't hurt me too much knowing I'd have a physical and a digital copy of the game. Plus, the physical will come with the DLC, so it doesn't really matter. But what did matter is that I waited 3 years to play this game, because I honestly regret that. I mean, I'd done a good job at avoiding spoilers for it. The only boss I really knew about was Goopy Legrand, but the fact that I could have played the game and just didn't wasn't a good decision. I just feel bad for those people who absolutely refuse to buy digital games and sacrifice a virgin to Nintendo every full moon. Just stop. I mean, they can keep doing the sacrifices, I don't want to judge, but they should honestly just go out and get Cuphead and stop waiting for the physical release. I mean, if they're spending $200 on a freaking Wii U game, something tells me they can afford Cuphead next time it goes on sale. Anyways, I should probably actually start talking about what's so good about this game. And this is one of those games where I don't know where to start because there's just so much this game does right, like the music. This is without a doubt in my mind one of the best video game soundtracks of all time. First off, I mean it sounds good, which is nice. The music sure is music here and I love it for that. But also on top of that, this game does the amazing deed of not reusing songs. Like with Parasite Eve, there are 45 songs and yeah, they sound good, but you'll hear them until you start getting flashbacks of hearing urban noise every time you even think about going outside in real life. Here though, that's just not a problem. Everything has a unique song. Every boss, every Inkwell Isle, even the starting room with Elder Kettle has its own song that you'll probably hear once and then just forget about. Actually, scratch that, I lied. You won't be forgetting any of these songs because of how freaking memorable they are. This is definitely one of those games where, yeah, sure, you can play it with the sound off, but I'll just think of you as Hitler too. This game is definitely made better by listening to the soundtrack. Even just the progression between the Inkwell Isles, you can notice how it goes from a happy theme to the blues as you get closer and closer to the end. And yeah, that doesn't matter very much, but it's still freaking cool. And like I was saying, the soundtrack is just so memorable that for my friend Adam's birthday, as a gift, my friend played him the whole Cuphead soundtrack, and for every song he got right, he would get $1. And let's just say he could have bought Cuphead almost 3 times with the money he got because he recognized every song and was able to name what it was from. To be fair, he actually did buy Cuphead a second time for PC with the money he got, but that's not the point. Just every boss in Run and Gun has such a unique song that makes them even more memorable. And even though each song is unique to the boss fight and all the songs stand out, that does not mean they don't follow the same theme. Just like how the art style reflects a 1930s vibe, the music does the same. It's an amazing jazz soundtrack, literally created the same way that I would create songs for cartoons back then, just with some jazz. And as we all know, the best video games use jazz in their soundtrack. Also, it's not just the music that's created the same way as they did in the 1930s. Instead of just doing computer animation, which yeah, that is hard, but when compared to drawing out each frame hand by hand, and when there's just so much going on, it's a freaking wonder that this game even came out. Like, god, it's just so impressive, but I mean, it paid off. Look how freaking good the game looks. Also, it's not like they just drew everything by hand like they did in the 1930s. They also made it have a 1930s cartoon art style, which is just amazing. Also, I get that I've been talking about the art style for a while, and I'm sorry, you know it looks good, you didn't need me to tell you that unless you're blind or something. In that case, I don't really recommend you play this game because, I mean, it's kinda hard. I mean, sure, I can beat most bosses using a Guitar Hero controller while running on the treadmill without getting hit, and my friend Adam can beat the entirety of Inkwell Isle 2 before the pizza guy comes and then have time to spare. Actually, scratch that last part about Adam because he can freaking just beat the whole game without dying on expert mode, and that's a bit more impressive. The thing is though, that's just because of how much we've replayed this game, but before I talk about replayability, I mean yeah, the difficulty. It's the Dark Souls of Crash Bandicoot games for a reason. It's tough. But even if you don't like hard games, I still think you can have a good time playing through this one. First off, there's literally a simple mode, which don't even feel bad about playing the game on simple mode. I won't judge. Only slightly. Seriously though, all the bosses on simple, regular, and expert are all different. I mean, yeah, they're still the same boss, but the game didn't go the lazy route of just making harder difficulties change the health. Take for example on the root pack, instead of fighting the potato, onion, and then the carrot, on simple mode the onion just won't be there. Also, the potato won't be shooting the dirt and worms as fast, and on simple he only shoots 2 dirt and 1 worm, but on normal he'll shoot 3 dirt and 1 worm. I don't know why I know this, but it's important, please write it down. It's just the attention to detail between the different difficulties that are just amazing, and heavily adds to the replayability of this game. Because once you beat this game on normal, or simple if you enjoy dumb baby games for dumb babies, you unlock expert mode. And I'm not even the type of person to replay games, whether it's Luigi's Mansion, Parasite Eve, or even One Shot, which I like more than Cuphead. I don't know why I haven't done that, but I just like the replay value in Cuphead more. First off, like I said, there's expert mode, which changes up the patterns, attack, and health slightly, so that it feels like an actual New Game Plus in a way. Except instead of games like Dark Souls where you have to replay the entire game just so you can get to your favorite boss fight. Also, changing difficulty in this game is really nice. Instead of just selecting it before the game starts and being thrown in blindly, before you fight each boss, it'll ask you whether you want it on simple, normal, or expert, and from there you can choose. And honestly, just beating the game on normal and then going back to playing it on expert might have been my favorite part about the game. Some of the bosses that were once no problem are just now the hardest boss in the game. And honestly, I don't even think I would have bothered playing through this game on expert mode if it hadn't been for Adam, so thanks. Of course, if you're playing through this game on expert mode, you probably have some motivation for doing so. I mean, no one gets arthritis just for fun. For me, the motivation was so that way I could get the 200% ranking and S-rank all the bosses. I don't even like 100%ing games, much less 200%ing them. And technically you can get 200% without playing on expert mode, but I mean, come on, you're playing Cuphead, you want to be cool, don't you? Basically, to get to 200% completion, you have to have a perfect score on all the bosses. This means you have to beat the bosses under a certain time limit, you have to have 3 health left, you have to get 3 parries, and also use 6 of your super meter. Or in other words, I won't be needing this anymore. Of course, that's just how to 200% the game. To S-rank the game, you need to do all of that, but on expert mode. Yeah, it's freaking tough, but it's so much fun relearning new boss patterns and just getting to hear the boss's soundtracks all over again. And also, back there you probably heard me say parries, super meter, and fun, and are really confused since you've never played this game, but don't worry, it's not complicated. Basically, some levels will have pink objects. What the frick? If you see one, that means you can parry it, and you do so by pressing the jump button when you come in contact with it. There's a bit more to it with that, with timing and stuff, but surface level, that's it, and it's really not even that complicated. And also, there's a reason for pairing. You want to do it so that way you can add a card to your super meter. Basically, the super meter allows you to use special attacks. So, if you only have one card and you activate it, you'll use an EX move, which is just an upgraded version of whatever gun you're using, but it'll act a bit differently. Of course though, there is a limit to how many cards you can have, which is 5, but if you use your special attack at max cards, which is 5, you'll do a super. There are 3 supers in total, and you unlock them as the game goes on, and it's always a treat to get them. It's so nice that you have customization options with that, but that's not even the only way you can customize your loadout. One of Cuphead's best part is the customization with guns. When you're about to go into a fight, you can open up your menu, and from there you can equip 2 different guns, and this is such a good part of the game. And I know that sounds stupid because no one's like, oh, my favorite part of Minecraft is the bow and arrow. The game just wouldn't be the same without the bow and arrow, but that's actually kind of the case here. The customization in this game is just insane. On your first playthrough of the game, if you're like me, you'll probably just find 2 guns that you like and then stick with them. I mean, why not? It works, and on normal difficulty, the game isn't trying to push you out of your comfort zone all that much. It's still a blast, but it's trying to prepare you for expert mode, where the gun customization really shines. Each boss feels like it has a certain gun combination that you need to find out to beat it. Like, no mom, you're not supposed to use the spread shot and charge on the Honeycomb Herald. Just stop it, you're embarrassing me. You'll just need to find a combination that works for each boss, like the Lobber and Roundabout for Fiery Frolic, or the Roundabout and Chaser for the Phantom Express. And the thing is, what I use for these bosses might not even work for you. It's about customizing it to fit your own needs for those boss fights, which is amazing. And like I said, for the Phantom Express, I might use the Roundabout and the Chaser, but a speedrunner might use the Charge and the Spread. And they're probably a lot better than me, because I honestly have no idea what just happened. I would probably have an easier time explaining the plot of Limbo than whatever that was. But that's just the thing, everyone will play differently, and it's not just guns you can customize. I haven't even mentioned the charms yet. There are perks that you can equip before going into a level, and they can do anything from giving you 1 extra heart to giving you 2 extra hearts. Seriously though, they are actually diverse and cool. While one might make it when you dash you're invincible, another might let you automatically parry on stuff. They really help out and allow for more customization on boss fights, because you'll be changing them around pretty often. The charms will just complement the boss you're facing, so if it's someone like Goopy Legrand, yeah, you won't want Pea Sugar because there's only 3 things you can parry on. But since he jumps around a lot, you might want to use Smoke Bomb so you can dash through him if you get caught in a corner. And if it seems like all of this is complicated, it's honestly not. You just pick what works for you, and on harder difficulties, All it might take is a bit of experimentation and realize that using Spreadshot and freaking Honeycomb Herald is a really bad idea. Of course, I haven't even explained how you unlock charms and guns if you want to use them, and that's kind of important because you're not going to be playing through this game with the pea shooter, and if you are, that's not cool, you're just stupid. Basically, you unlock them through the shop, which there's one in each inkwell aisle, and they always have the same stuff no matter where you are. It's just for accessibility purposes. Basically, once you have enough coins, you can buy new guns or charms, which means the further you go in the game, the more coins you'll get and the more charms and guns you can experiment with. And then finally, when you're replaying the game in expert mode, because you are doing that, you don't get a say here, you'll be able to replay every boss, now being able to choose from every gun and charm. Of course, you'll need a way to get coins so that you can actually buy the guns and charms. And you can get them from getting all 3 of the coins that are in every running gun level, finding them in the overworld, talking to NPCs, and even doing side quests for the NPCs. The coins really aren't too hard to get, and I honestly had a lot of fun collecting them all, and exploring the overworld is also a lot of fun to try and find the coins, and just find secrets in general. Also, I said side quests, and maybe that's not the best terminology, but it's close enough. Basically, some NPCs when you walk up to talk to them will say something like, "They say juggling is a bit like pairing. Tough at first, but you soon can string them together swimmingly. I'm hoping to get 4 someday." And I mean, he's kind of an idiot. A lot of things are tough at first. I mean, you don't hear me saying, "Oh yeah, getting away with grand larceny is just like juggling. It is hard." Anyways, just get 4 parries in a row like he hinted at, then come back to him and he'll give you a coin. There are also some other side quests to unlock some cool modifiers to the game, but I won't spoil what they are. One of them is really cool how you unlock it though. Basically, throughout the game there are running gun levels where the game ditches the normal formula of boss fights and throws you into what's basically a better version of a Conker level. These honestly aren't bad and are a nice change of pace from the boss fights and are honestly a lot of fun. But there's a little bit more to it than that, because if you beat all the running gun levels without killing an enemy, you'll get a cool reward. It's a really fun challenge. And fun fact, since I played this game on the Switch and had to arrive at school an hour early on Tuesdays because my brother had AP Chem, one time I actually missed the first few minutes of Spanish class because I was just having too much fun trying to get a pacifist drink on the cliffside level and just didn't notice everyone going inside of school. So that should just show you how fun these levels are. But you know what's even more fun than the running gun levels? The boss fights. Freaking god, these are good. They all have such creative and cool themes, and they're all so freaking unique. You'll never find one that feels unoriginal or uninspired, or you think, wait, have I seen something like this before? Because spoilers alert, you haven't. Also, all the attacks are fair. You'll never feel like you died because of the game, you died because of yourself. Every attack that the bosses do are well choreographed, so that's entirely fair. That's not to say you'll be beating bosses first try, but once you get their attacks down, the boss fight really begins. And if you don't believe me that the attacks are well choreographed, frick you, I don't know what I did to break your trust, but for example on the Hildeberg, you'll see her move up and down, and then when she opens her mouth, she laughs. So just dodge when she opens her mouth. And then also when she puffs up, you'll need to move out of the way because that means she's gonna charge at you. I'm not gonna go through the whole boss fight because we'd be here all day, but you'll also notice that this is a plane level. There are 2 types of boss fights, and basically they're just on the ground boss fights and in the air boss fights. The ground boss fights are nothing complicated, basically just what I've been describing. Just learn their attacks and find what gun and charm combo works for you. But then for the air levels, you only get to choose a charm, but you still get some special moves, like you can anti-grow to become the size of lead. And this can help you to dodge attacks and not much else because your bullets also become smaller. Maybe I over-explained the boss fights or something and made them sound not fun, but this game probably has the best boss fights out of any video game. And maybe you're scared the game will be too hard, but there's always simple mode, and there's also co-op. Co-op for this game just works extremely well. I've honestly played co-op for this game quite a bit, whether it's Cuphead on the bus for field trips, playing at my friends' houses, it's always fun. That was Cuphead, and sure it may have ruined my self-esteem when it comes to drawing, but honestly, I don't care. The game was just so amazing and it has such a good art style too. That's why I'd honestly give it the best art style award. This has the best art style out of any game I've ever played. But of course the art style doesn't really matter. I mean, No More Heroes looks like someone left it in an oven for too long and it's still amazing, but The gameplay here is also amazing in addition to the art style. I don't really have many problems with it. That's why I'd give it a 99 out of 100. I mean, I do have a few problems with it. The tutorial was a bit too hard, and also it's annoying that there's no fast travel system. So if I'm all the way in Inkwell Isle 3 and I want to go back to Inkwell Isle 1, I have to walk all the way across the map, which is just annoying. Also, it would have been nice if maybe there were a few more bosses, but like I said, this game is amazing and I really recommend it. But I'm a busy guy, so I better get going. You see, I have being a disappointment to get to. And even though I wasn't the best at drawing, at least I'm the best at this. You've got to be kidding me.